The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with the kind of self-important energy that only comes from beings who've convinced themselves they're saving the universe. Floating in the center of the crystalline chamber, holographic displays showed detailed tactical analyses, population statistics, and what could generously be called intelligence reports about the newest addition to galactic society, humanity. Admiral Vrox of the Zephyrian Empire stood at his podium, his forearms gesticulating dramatically as his voice boomed across the assembly. Fellow council members, we face an unprecedented threat to galactic stability. These humans, these primitive bipeds, have had the audacity to refuse our reasonable request to surrender their nuclear arsenals for proper disposal. Chancellor Kibb, a blob-like creature whose entire existence revolved around proper documentation, consulted his 73rd tablet of the day. According to Form 2847B, subsection 12, any species refusing to comply with standard disarmament protocols must be classified as potentially hostile. The paperwork is quite clear on this matter. Professor Glim, the Council's supposed expert on human psychology, adjusted his 17 pairs of spectacles nervously. My research indicates that humans are an illogical species driven by primitive emotions. They likely misunderstood our generous offer as some sort of threat rather than the helpful gesture it clearly was. Exactly, Vrox continued, his chest puffing with what he assumed was inspiring leadership. They responded to our diplomatic request with what their ambassador called, and I quote, "Thanks but no thanks, we're good. Such brazen disrespect cannot stand." The murmur of agreement that rippled through the chamber sounded like a broken air conditioning unit having an argument with itself. Representatives from dozens of species nodded their various appendages, convinced they were witnessing a historic moment of decisive leadership. Chancellor Kibb raised a tentacle. "I've prepared the necessary documentation for a limited military response. Operation Gentle Reminder has been approved by 17 different committees and only requires 43 more signatures to be fully authorized." What exactly did our intelligence gathering reveal about their military capabilities? Asked Counselor ZRXX, a insectoid being whose species had conquered 3-star systems by accident while looking for good lunch spots. Professor Glim consulted his notes with the confidence of someone who'd never been more wrong about anything in his life. "Quite primitive, I'm afraid. Their most advanced ships appear to be simple chemical propulsion vessels. They still use projectile weapons and something they call lasers, which are apparently just focused light beams, hardly threatening to our advanced shielding systems." "And their numbers?" Vrox inquired, already planning his victory speech. "Intelligence suggests they have perhaps a few hundred military vessels scattered across their solar system. Nothing that our standard battle group couldn't handle with minimal effort." The vote was unanimous, which wasn't surprising considering that the Galactic Council had never met a unanimous vote it couldn't manufacture through proper committee work. Operation Gentle Reminder was approved with the kind of bureaucratic efficiency that had made the Council famous for solving yesterday's problems sometime next decade. Admiral Vrox practically glowed with satisfaction as he outlined the battle plan. "We'll send a modest force of 500 ships. Nothing too overwhelming, just enough to demonstrate our technological superiority. A few warning shots, perhaps disable their communications, and they'll be begging to negotiate within hours." "Excellent," Chancellor Kibb agreed, already drafting the post-victory paperwork. "I've prepared surrender forms in 47 different languages, including what our xenolinguists believe to be the human languages of English, Spanish, and something called sarcasm." Professor Glim nodded sagely. "My psychological profiles suggest humans respond well to shows of force. They're pack animals, essentially, and will instinctively submit to a superior alpha display." As the council members filed out of the chamber, each convinced they'd just witnessed the birth of a new galactic order, none of them bothered to double-check their intelligence reports. If they had, they might have noticed that their comprehensive survey of human space had somehow missed 98% of Earth's actual military infrastructure. But hindsight is 20/20, and the Galactic Council had always preferred their vision slightly blurred anyway. 3 days later, the unstoppable armada of the Galactic Council hung in space just outside Earth's solar system like a collection of particularly aggressive Christmas ornaments. Admiral Vrox stood on the bridge of his flagship. The inevitable victory watching his tactical displays with the satisfaction of someone about to teach a very important lesson to some very slow students. "Admiral," his communications officer announced, "we're receiving a response from the human homeworld." "Excellent. Put it through. I want to savor their surrender." The view screen flickered to life, revealing not the terrified human leader Vrox had expected, but rather a bored-looking man in what appeared to be a maintenance uniform, sitting in what was obviously the cockpit of a very small, very unremarkable spacecraft. "Yeah, hi there," the human said, taking a sip from a coffee mug that read "World's Okayest Employee." "This is Captain Jake Murphy with Earth Traffic Control. You folks seem to be loitering in a no-parking zone. I'm going to need you to move along or I'll have to write you a citation." Admiral Vrox blinked all 6 of his eyes in confusion. "I am Admiral Vrox of the Zephyrian Empire, commanding the combined fleet of the Galactic Council. We are here to demonstrate the consequences of defying galactic authority." Murphy scratched his head. "Aha! Look, Admiral, I'm sure you're very important and all, but I've got paperwork to file and my shift ends in 20 minutes. So if you could just relocate your fleet to the designated visitor parking area past Jupiter, that'd be great." Behind Murphy, another voice could be heard. "Cap, maybe we should call this in? 500 ships is kind of above our pay grade." "Nah, Torres, it's fine. Probably just another one of those diplomatic convoy things. Remember last month when the Centaurian trade delegation showed up with 300 ships just to deliver a fruit basket?" Vrox's mandibles clicked in irritation. "You will surrender immediately or face the full might of our superior technology." "Yeah, okay," Murphy said, clearly not listening. "Look, I'm going to need you to power down your weapon systems and follow me to the impound lot. You're blocking a shipping lane." "Impound lot?" Vrox sputtered. "We are a military armada. And I'm a traffic cop having a very long day." Torres hit the flashers. On Murphy's tiny ship, a set of flashing lights activated, along with what sounded suspiciously like a space-age version of a police siren. "Sir," Vrox's tactical officer reported, "they're scanning us with some kind of unknown energy signature." "Probably their targeting systems," Vrox sneered. "Let them see the futility of their position. All ships, power weapons and advance to attack formation." What happened next would be debated in military academies across the galaxy for decades. The moment the Galactic Council fleet moved to attack, Murphy's little traffic enforcement vessel did something that defied every law of physics the aliens thought they understood. It moved. Not fast, exactly. Not in any way that seemed particularly impressive. It just sort of slid sideways through space like a hockey puck on ice, but while every single weapon fired by the 500-ship armada either missed completely or simply stopped working. Torres," Murphy said, checking his instruments. "Did you remember to turn on the deflector array this morning?" "Yeah, Cap. Standard patrol configuration." "Good, good. Hey, Admiral, whatever your name was, you might want to check your targeting computers. Your aim is terrible." On the bridge of the inevitable victory, chaos reigned. "Sir, all weapons are showing system failures," the tactical officer reported, his voice climbing toward panic. "Main batteries are offline, missile systems are not responding, and our shields are fluctuating." "How is this possible?" Vrox demanded. Murphy's voice crackled over the comm system. "Oh, that's probably the traffic enforcement field. Standard safety measure. Can't have folks shooting up the space lanes, you know. Now, are you going to come quietly, or do I need to call for a tow truck?" "This is impossible," Professor Glim whispered from his position in the fleet's research vessel. "Their technology appears to be completely nullifying our weapon systems without any visible effort." "Sir," the communications officer added helpfully, "the human vessel is now broadcasting what appears to be elevator music to the entire fleet." Murphy could be heard humming along to the tune. "Sorry about that, folks. Standard procedure while I write up the citations. Let's see, 500 counts of illegal parking, 500 counts of failure to register with traffic control, and 1 count of attempted assault on a peace officer. This is going to be a lot of paperwork." "Torres," Murphy continued, "call the dispatcher and tell them we're going to need the big tow truck. Actually, maybe call all the tow trucks. This is going to take a while. In the background, Torres could be heard muttering, "I told you we should have called for backup." Admiral Vrox was having what his species would diplomatically call a catastrophic leadership moment. His entire fleet hung dead in space, systems failing one by one, while a single human in what appeared to be a glorified space taxi hummed show tunes and filled out digital paperwork. Admiral Vrox, his communications officer, announced with the tone of someone delivering news about a terminal diagnosis, "The human has just placed a bright orange sticker on our hull." "A what?" "It appears to be some sort of violation notice, sir. It's very orange." Meanwhile, Murphy was indeed applying what looked like a cosmic parking ticket to the side of the inevitable Victory. "Standard procedure," he explained to no one in particular. "Can't tow a vehicle without proper documentation." "Torres, remind me to expense the sticker gun when we get back." "Cap," Torres replied, "maybe we should mention this to command? I mean, disabling an entire alien armada seems like the kind of thing that should go in a report." "Nah, it's just a traffic stop. Happens all the time. Remember that Regellian convoy that tried to run the toll booth last week? Same thing, just bigger." It was at this moment that Admiral Vrox made the decision that would define the rest of his unfortunately long career: deploy the Annihilator. The Annihilator was the Galactic Council's ultimate weapon. A dreadnought the size of a small moon, armed with enough firepower to crack planets and sporting shields that could supposedly withstand the heat death of the universe. It had never been defeated in battle, mostly because it had never actually been in a battle, but the engineering specifications were very impressive. The massive ship materialized out of hyperspace with the kind of dramatic flair that military contractors charge extra for. Its arrival was announced by ominous musical stings that the ship's AI played automatically during deployment. Murphy looked up from his paperwork. "Oh, come on. Really? I'm not qualified for capital ships. This is going to require so much paperwork." He sighed and activated his comm system. "Control, this is Murphy. I need a supervisor out here." "What's the situation, Murphy?" came the response. "Got a big one. Probably going to need the industrial strength traffic enforcement." Within minutes, another identical small ship appeared next to Murphy's vessel. The new arrival immediately opened a comm channel. "Murphy, what the hell did you do now?" "Hey, Commander Park. Just a routine traffic stop that got a little out of hand." Commander Lisa Park's voice carried the weary authority of middle management everywhere. "Murphy, that's a council dreadnought. You can't just ticket a dreadnought." "Why not?" "They're blocking traffic." Because Park paused, clearly struggling with the logic. "Okay, fair point. But you should have called it in before applying enforcement measures." "Sorry, Commander. Want me to handle the big one?" "No, I'll take it. You've caused enough interdimensional incidents this month." Admiral Vrox watched in growing horror as the second human vessel, identical to the first, approached his ultimate weapon. "Annihilator command, prepare all systems for immediate engagement." "Admiral," came the response from the dreadnought, "we're detecting the same energy signature as before. Our weapons are powering down automatically." Park's voice came over the general comm frequency. "Attention, large ship. This is Commander Park with Earth Traffic Enforcement. You're in violation of about 30 different space safety regulations. Power down your weapons and prepare for inspection." "Never," Vrox declared. "The Annihilator is invincible." "Yeah, okay," Park replied, sounding like a tired parent dealing with a particularly stubborn toddler. "Murphy, did you explain the safety protocols to these people?" "I mentioned the parking regulations." "Murphy, you're supposed to explain the safety field before applying enforcement measures. It's literally on page 1 of the manual." "Sorry, Commander." Park sighed audibly. "Fine. Attention alien ships, you are currently under the effect of a standard traffic safety field. This field automatically disables weapons systems and redirects aggressive maneuvers to prevent accidents in designated space lanes. Please remain calm while we sort this out. The Annihilator, the ultimate weapon of the Galactic Council, slowly began spinning in place like a cosmic pinwheel. "What's happening?" Vrox demanded. "Sir," the dreadnought's captain reported, "we appear to be caught in some kind of tractor beam, but our sensors show no beam emissions." "That's the safety field's momentum redistribution function," Park explained patiently. "Standard feature. Can't have large ships crashing into things. Now I'm going to need you all to form a single file line for processing. This is going to take a while." Murphy keyed his comm. "Commander, should I call for the heavy-duty tow trucks?" "Yeah, Murphy. Call them all. And order pizza for the office. We're going to be here all night." 2 hours later, Admiral Vrox found himself in what could only be described as the galaxy's most awkward prisoner exchange. He sat in a small, remarkably boring conference room aboard Murphy's scout ship, staring at a human who was methodically working through what appeared to be the universe's most comprehensive traffic violation form. "Okay," Murphy said, clicking his pen. "I've got you down for 500 counts of unlawful assembly in a designated space lane, failure to register with traffic control, and attempted assault on a peace officer. But I'm going to need to upgrade that last one since you brought out the big ship." "I demand to speak with your military high command," Vrox declared with as much dignity as he could muster, while sitting in a chair designed for beings with only 2 arms. "Sure thing. Commander Park is right outside." "No, you fool. You're real military. Your generals, your admirals, your war council." Murphy looked genuinely confused. "War council? Dude, we're traffic cops. If you want to talk to the military, you'd have to file a request with Earth Defense Command. And honestly, they're going to be pretty annoyed that nobody told them there was an invasion happening." The word invasion seemed to hang in the air like a bad smell. Professor Glim, who had been brought over for what Vrox had hoped would be psychological intimidation, started making a sound like a deflating balloon. "What do you mean, nobody told them?" Vrox asked, though he was beginning to suspect he didn't want to know the answer. "Well, this is traffic control," Murphy explained patiently. "We handle shipping lanes, commercial traffic, the occasional smuggler. You guys showed up in the outer system parking zone, so dispatch sent me to check it out. If you'd actually tried to attack Earth, that would be a military matter. But we did attack you." "Nah, you tried to attack me. There's a difference. I'm just a guy with a citation book and a really good insurance plan." Torres chose this moment to stick his head into the conference room. "Cap, I've been talking to their tech guys. They want to know how our deflector system works." "Standard traffic safety field," Murphy replied. "Same thing we use for drunk pilots and navigation system failures." Vrox felt something cold crawling up his spine. "These ships of yours, how many do you have?" "Scout ships? Oh, thousands. Every traffic cop gets one. They're pretty basic, really. Mostly just safety equipment and sensor arrays." "Thousands," Professor Glim whispered, and the deflating balloon sound got louder. "Wait," Vrox said. "If these are your basic ships, what do your actual military vessels look like?" Murphy scratched his head. "Honestly, I have no idea. Above my pay grade. I mean, I see them sometimes when they come through the checkpoint, but those guys don't really talk to us traffic cops. Different department, you know." Commander Park entered the room at this point, carrying a coffee cup and looking like someone who'd just spent 2 hours explaining basic physics to very slow children. "Murphy, I've got Earth Defense on the line. They want to know why 500 alien ships are parked in our traffic lane, and why nobody bothered to mention it until now." "What did you tell them?" Murphy asked. "That you handled it as a routine traffic stop and it got out of hand." "What did they say?" "They said," and I quote, "Murphy did what now?" Followed by several words I can't repeat in a diplomatic setting. Vrox leaned forward desperately. "These Defense Command people, they're your real military?" "Yeah," Park confirmed. "Though honestly, they're going to be pretty confused by all this. Last I heard, they were running exercises in the Andromeda sector. Something about expanding the traffic management grid to other galaxies." "Other galaxies?" Professor Glimm's deflating balloon noise had evolved into something resembling a dying wail. "Oh yeah," Murphy added cheerfully. "Apparently there's a whole bunch of them out there, and they all need proper traffic control. Can you imagine the paperwork?" Vrox stood up abruptly, his forearms shaking. "I need to make a call." "Sure," Park said, "but keep it short. We're still processing your fleet, and the tow trucks are getting impatient." As Vrox stumbled toward the communications console, he could hear Murphy asking Torres, "Think we should mention that these are the old scout ships? The ones they retired from active service last year?" "Nah, Cap. Might hurt their feelings." Commander Park's conversation with Earth Defense Command was being broadcast throughout the conference room, mostly because nobody had bothered to explain to her how to turn off the speakerphone function. What followed was a masterclass in bureaucratic confusion that would have been hilarious if it hadn't been absolutely terrifying for everyone listening. "Let me get this straight," came a voice from Earth Defense Command that sounded like someone who'd been woken up from a nap and asked to solve calculus problems. "Murphy disabled an entire alien invasion fleet with a traffic enforcement field?" "That's correct, sir. Standard Model 7 safety protocols." "And nobody thought to mention that we were being invaded?" "It wasn't really an invasion, sir. More like a traffic violation that escalated." There was a long pause, during which Admiral Vrox could be heard making quiet, whimpering sounds. Professor Glimm had given up on deflating balloon noises and moved on to what sounded like someone strangling a piccolo. "Park, how many ships are we talking about here?" 501, sir. Including one Dreadnought-class vessel that Murphy classified as an oversized truck in a no-parking zone. 500, Park. Are you telling me that Murphy, Traffic Enforcement Officer 3rd Class Murphy, defeated a galactic armada with a scout ship? Technically, sir, I defeated the Dreadnought. Murphy just handled the regular ships. Oh, well, that makes it so much better, the voice from Earth Defense said with the kind of sarcasm that could strip paint. Park, what class scout ships are you flying? Standard Mark IV patrol vessels, sir. The ones we retired from training duty last year. The silence that followed was broken only by Professor Glimm's piccolo strangling noises and what sounded like Admiral Vrox hitting his head against the table repeatedly. Park, please tell me you're joking. No, sir. Although Murphy did mention that his deflector array has been making a funny noise lately. Probably needs a tune-up. A tune-up. Murphy defeated 500 alien warships with a deflector array that needs a tune-up. Sir, if I may, Torres interjected, the aliens seem really upset about it. They keep asking about our real military. This prompted another long silence, followed by what sounded like someone taking a very deep breath. Put the alien commander on the line. Admiral Vrox approached the communication console like a man walking to his execution. This is Admiral Vrox of the Zephyrian Empire. Admiral, this is General Harrison, Earth Defense Command. I understand you tried to invade our solar system? It was meant to be a demonstration of superior firepower, Vrox said weakly. I see. And how did that work out for you? Your traffic officers destroyed my entire fleet. My traffic officers. Admiral, let me explain something to you. What you encountered today was the equivalent of 2 mall security guards with tasers. Our actual military wasn't even aware you existed until about 5 minutes ago. Professor Glimm made a sound like a tea kettle having an existential crisis. General Harrison continued, Admiral, I'm looking at the tactical readout from your little encounter. Your weapons were disabled by a standard safety field that we use to keep drunk pilots from crashing into space stations. Your shield technology was neutralized by what amounts to a cosmic speed bump. Your ultimate weapon was defeated by the equivalent of a traffic cone. But your technology, Vrox began. Our technology, Admiral, is designed to manage interstellar traffic across multiple galaxies. What Officer Murphy did today was roughly equivalent to stopping a bicycle with a parking meter. The sound Professor Glimm was making had evolved into something that defied description by conventional language. Now, General Harrison continued with the tone of someone who'd clearly dealt with this sort of thing before. I'm going to offer you folks a deal. We'll tow your ships to the nearest repair station. No charge. We'll provide technical assistance to get your life support systems back online. And we'll all pretend this was a big misunderstanding. In exchange, you're going to go back to your Galactic Council and explain that Earth is not interested in playing galactic politics. But we'd be happy to help with traffic management if they need it. Traffic management? Vrox whispered. Admiral, we've got ships going to 14 different galaxies on a regular basis. Trust me, somebody needs to keep track of who's going where. 6 months later, Admiral Vroxic stood behind a small desk in the newly established Earth Customs and Immigration Office, stamping passports with the mechanical precision of someone whose spirit had been thoroughly broken and reassembled into something more useful. His uniform now bore the cheerful logo of the Galactic Traffic Management Authority, and his 4 arms had proven surprisingly efficient at processing paperwork. Next, he called out, his voice carrying the professional boredom of bureaucrats everywhere. A nervous-looking Altarian merchant stepped forward, clutching his travel documents. I need transit permits for the Vegas sector. Purpose of travel? Vrox asked, not looking up from his stamps. Trade negotiations. Duration of stay? 3 standard weeks. Stamp, stamp, stamp. Keep your permit visible at all times. Report to Traffic Control Station 7 upon arrival. Next. Across the office, Chancellor Kibb had found his true calling as head of the Department of Complaints and Bureaucratic Inquiries. His natural love of paperwork had made him Earth's most popular administrator, a fact that both delighted and terrified him. He currently had 17 different forms spread across his desk and was working on what appeared to be a 40-page document titled Proper Procedures for Filing Complaints about Complaint Procedures. Form 2847B has been updated again, he announced to no one in particular. Now includes subsection 14C regarding emotional distress caused by inadequate complaint resolution. Professor Glim, meanwhile, had been assigned to teach remedial human studies at the newly established Galactic Understanding Institute. His curriculum, titled Everything I Thought I Knew About Humans, was catastrophically wrong. It had become the most popular course in galactic academic history, though Glim himself had developed what his therapist described as acute species inferiority complex and a drinking problem that was becoming legendary, even by academic standards. Today, class, Glim said to his audience of horrified alien,